silence. Sometimes that's all you hear when you need answers the most. You pray, you cry, you fast, you seek, but heaven feels shut. No sign, no voice, no movement. And then doubt whispers, "Did God forget me?" But listen carefully. God's silence is never empty. When God stays silent, he's saying more than you think. His silence is not rejection, it's revelation. He's teaching you to discern the sound of faith above the noise of your emotions, because if he spoke every time you asked, you'd trust his answers, not his presence. And God wants more than followers of miracles. He wants sons and daughters who can trust even when they don't understand. Remember Job? He lost everything, his family, his health, his peace. And for a long time, God said nothing, but his silence wasn't punishment. It was preparation. It was proof that Job's faith didn't depend on blessings, but on belief. And when God finally spoke, Job realized something profound. Heaven was never still. It was working in silence. When God is silent, it doesn't mean he's absent. It means he's doing something too deep for words. He's aligning things you can't see, fighting battles you don't know exist, and building strength in you that comfort could never create. Silence is not the pause before your purpose. It's part of it. You see, God's silence has a voice. It says, wait. It says, trust me. It says, I'm still in control. But because we're human, we mistake quiet for distance. We panic when he doesn't move at our pace, forgetting that delay is his way of deepening our roots. He's not ignoring you. He's inviting you to listen differently. When heaven seems quiet, that's when God is testing your trust. Anyone can believe when the blessings are loud, but real faith hears God in the stillness. When Jesus hung on the cross, even he cried out, "My God, why have you forsaken me?" Yet in that silence, salvation was being written. The greatest miracle in history was born in a moment when God didn't speak. Silence is sacred ground. It's where God strips away distractions, removes false dependencies, and teaches your soul to breathe again. He knows that constant noise drowns out clarity, so sometimes he quiets everything around you, not to punish you, but to pull you closer. If God has been silent lately, it might be because you've already heard what you needed. You're not waiting on his next word, he's waiting on your next step. The last instruction he gave is still valid, and silence is his way of saying, move with what I already told you. Obedience is the key that unlocks his next revelation. Maybe he's quiet, because he's shifting your focus. You wanted answers, but he wants surrender. You wanted control, but he's after your trust. Silence isn't the absence of communication, it's the refinement of it. It's where God speaks in ways that only your spirit can understand. Think about this. When a teacher gives a test, they don't talk. Not because they left the classroom, but because they're watching to see what you've learned. God's silence is like that. The teacher is still present. He is just observing how well you apply what he has already taught. Some of you are frustrated because your prayers feel unanswered, but maybe the answer came, just not in the form you expected. Sometimes God answers by removing, by delaying, or by redirecting. And because it doesn't look like what you wanted, you call it silence. But silence doesn't mean no, it might just mean not yet. The silence of God is where faith matures. It's where you learn to walk, not by sight, but by conviction. It's where you realize that feelings are fragile, but faith is unshakable. When you stop demanding that God speak and start trusting that he's near, peace replaces panic. If you could see what he sees, you'd understand why he's quiet. Because if he revealed everything now, you'd run ahead of his plan. And sometimes his silence is the only thing that keeps you safe inside his timing. He's not withholding information, he's protecting your destiny. Elijah experienced this. He expected God in the wind, in the fire, in the earthquake, but God came in a whisper. And to hear that whisper, Elijah had to silence his world. The same is true for you. The quieter you become, the clearer his presence feels. You may not realize it, but silence is the sound of growth. The seed doesn't make noise while it's breaking the soil. The baby in the womb develops in silence. And your faith, the very core of your being, matures in the quiet seasons when nothing seems to move. One day, you'll look back and realize that the silence that hurt you was the same silence that healed you, that the distance you felt was the doorway to intimacy, that when God stopped speaking, it was because he wanted to show, not tell. So if heaven feels quiet right now, don't lose heart. The silence means the story isn't over. God is still writing, still working, still weaving every unanswered prayer into a perfect plan. He hasn't forgotten you. He's just proving that faith doesn't need constant confirmation. It needs consistency. Keep praying, keep believing, keep walking, because when the silence breaks, it will make sense why it had to last this long. If this message speaks to your heart, take a moment and whisper this prayer. God, even when you're silent, I will still trust you. And if you needed this reminder today, write in the comments, I'm learning to hear God in the silence, because sometimes the quietest moments carry the loudest messages from heaven.